Hello students. Today we'll start with the chapter Language of Chemistry. Now when I start the chapter Language of Chemistry, the first thing that I have to say, Language of Chemistry in class 9 is one of the easiest chapters. I call it one of the easiest chapters because you have already been taught this chapter in class 7 as well as class 8. So needless to say, I will also go a little fast with this chapter since it is something that you have already been explained. Now again, what I have done is I have divided my chapter into 4 essential things that you need to understand the language of chemistry. When I say the language of chemistry, what I mean is how you are going to represent the elements, compounds, and how you are going to write chemical formulas using them. So I have divided my chapter into, if you see, I have divided it into symbols, representations, formulas, that is chemical formulas, and equations, that is chemical equations. Now regarding symbols, since you have been studying it from class 7, in fact probably a little bit in class 6, I'm not sure, but 7 and 8 you have learned a lot of symbols of nearly all the major elements, both metals and non-metals. So I will leave that on you for a quick recapitulation from your textbook. Now when I come to representation, okay, before I go forward, one thing I would like to repeat is that please ensure that even if you do not have your class 9 textbook, your class 8 textbook can be useful enough for studying all this. Class 8 textbook is also good enough. So the next topic that we move to is representation. Now what do I mean by representation? Now you have already learned in class 8 that metals can form cations and non-metals actually form anions. Cations are all positively charged and anions are all negatively charged. So that is also something that you have already studied in class 7 as well as 8. So what I have done, students, is just for you, I have written down some cationic representations or some cations and some anionic representations or some anions. So under cations and anions, now this is not mandatory that whatever I have written, only that much you will study. No, it is not so. In your book also you will see there are 2 or 3 maybe extra points given to you, extra names given to you, extra representation. Please ensure you go through that when you get your required textbook. But as of now, I'll limit my studies to these particular representations for your own benefit. So what I have done is in my cationic representation, or in case of cations, I have restricted it to Na plus, K plus, Ca2 plus, Mg2 plus. You can see so on and so forth. All of them you know very well. Now what I need to tell you is that, students, when you are writing the representation, suppose I tell you that how will you give the cationic representation of sodium. So if you are writing just Na, you will get 0. Please ensure you are writing down Na plus. Or maybe if I am asking for calcium, Ca2 plus. If I am asking for aluminium, it should be Al3 plus. Please remember, when you are writing representation, if you do not show the positive or the negative charge, and for that matter, how much positive charge and how much negative charge, it does not hold any meaning in your answer. Am I clear? If we just ask you to write down the symbol, you write down the symbol. But in case it's a question of representation, you have to show the positive sign as well as the negative sign very clearly. The next one that we go into is anionic representation. Now what are we exactly talking about when we talk of anionic representations? We are talking about anions that are formed from non-metals. Now anions can actually be anions can actually consist of maybe just one non-metal, or it can be a group of non-metals, 2 non-metals or 3 non-metals. You are aware of their names. You can go through your textbook. I have mentioned all the major anionic representations here, starting from nitrate, nitrite, carbonate, sulfide, sulfate, sulfide, oxide, nitrite. So it is not something that I need to always repeat. You have studied it in class 7 and 8. Go through it, and again I repeat, when you are asked to write an anionic representation, please ensure that you write down the minus sign or the negative sign correctly, along with how much negative. That is, if it's a sulfide, IDE, it should be S 2 minus, if you do not write that 2 minus, that particular anionic representation will hold absolutely no meaning. I hope this is clear for you. Please ensure, this is your worksheet, or I can say this is your home task given to you. Please ensure you learn up all the cationic representations and anionic representations from the textbook in hand, so that in our next video we can learn how to write the chemical formula.